listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
Welcome to the GM Shuffle. The GM Shuffle is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Geoff Schwartz, Marty Hurney. All the work, Marty, that you put in as a general manager, that I put in as a player, starts tonight. It culminates with the beginning of the NFL regular season, which is tonight. We have games tonight, game tonight, game tomorrow, game Sunday, games Monday. We'll have you covered here on the GM Shuffle for all of this. Marty, how are you feeling as we approach this season? How different is it sitting in your chair now that it is sitting in the chair at the Panthers front office?
I can sleep at night. This is the time of year. This is the time of year that maybe I was just weird, but you just worry about everything coming into this opener. You just want to see it on the field. As I said the last time we did this, I think that if you have a major flaw, it shows itself in the season opener. So you're kind of, preseason doesn't really helps you evaluate individuals. It does not help you determine how you're going to come out of the gate. And coming out of the gate in this league, as you know, Geoff, is so important.
It is so important. And the Eagles, defending champions, will start tonight, hoping to repeat from their 2024 champions. They actually did not start fast last season, which was a talking point, as they went 2-2 to start the year. They play the Cowboys tonight. This number is now on DraftKings 8.5. Eagles favored by 8.5, and the total is 47.5. Now, of course, odds always subject to change before you listen to this, and even up into kickoff. And what I find so fascinating, Marty, from just the number, right, is this number has been around 7 for most of the offseason, right? The schedule comes out in May. They set a number. It just sort of sits there. No one really plays it very much. And then Micah Parsons gets dealt to the Packers. So it goes Cowboys to Packers. The Packers lose Micah Parsons. They add Kenny Clark, defensive tackle, and the number jumps 1.5 points. And I just from the perspective of that, Marty, I'm not sure Micah Parsons is worth 1.5 points. Like, I don't know if I feel great about wagering on the Cowboys plus 8.5. But, and I know he's impactful, right? When he plays, the Cowboys are number 1 in the NFL in defense of efficiency. When he doesn't play, they're 31st. But do you think moving 1.5 points is worth a Micah Parsons?
Well, look at it this way, Geoff. The number was 7 when he was still holding in, so to speak.
Yes.
And there were questions about his back. So how much of a factor was he really going to be in this game anyway? I have bounced back and forth in this game as much as the spread has. I think I saw something that said in the last 30 week 1 games with NFL underdogs, 23-7 against the spread underdogs. Yeah. So in all these divisional games, you have to look further more to the right side, I think, although I don't think I did that this week. But I don't know. It's so hard that the Eagles coming in front of their home crowd the first time before the Super Bowl, that place is going to be rocking. You've been to Philly. I've been to Philly. It's going to be absolutely wild. The Eagles are going to be all jacked up. Dak Prescott, normally the Cowboys do pretty well when he's healthy and he's playing. So this is a hard one. 8.5 is a lot, but I still think the Eagles are going to be hard to go against.
Yeah, look, I would take the 8.5 with Dallas before I lay this 8. Oh, look, part of wagering, right, is finding the right number. If you're on the Eagles now, you've missed the best number, right? And right now you have the best number on the Cowboys. So now you can always in-game, right? DraftKings offers in-game wagering, as we know. They offer in-game props, all those things. So I would maybe take the to take the Eagles if you like them maybe at some point during the game. The week 1 number you give out is pretty interesting to me because I think it plays into sort of how I feel about Dallas in this game. So, you have mostly 2 weeks to prepare for this game, right? Especially with the way
the whole
you have it, right. And so you have your sort of best plays, you think, to play the defending champions will come out in the first couple of drives. Like, you have the best ammo you will have. They don't know what you're doing. New coaching staff didn't play in the preseason. And so I do think Dallas will come out with an energy early in this game. Now, will it last? I think the Parsons thing is a huge deal, right? Obviously, they talked about how good and important he is. What are some matchups in your mind you're highlighting to watch tonight that might determine how this game goes?
Well, I think number one is how can the Cowboys offensive line hold up? and Tyler Guyton starting at left tackle. Listen, I've heard some people, question and wonder how he's going to do. Boy, Geoff, physically, I mean, he is one of the most physically talented linemen I saw,
Oh yeah.
throughout my visits going into colleges. And it's just really whether he can get used to processing quickly and doing the things he needs to do at this level. But I think that the Cowboys' ability to protect Dak Prescott is my number one key to the game.
Yeah, look, and I think it's interesting to see the Eagles. Look, they have a pretty young defense, right? Like they got rid of some of their older guys in free agency, which happens as we know after Super Bowl, and they have young edge rushers. And so we saw them play really well at certain points last year, but now getting their starting nod. How will they play against a Cowboys offense line? That's good. It's a good offense. It's young, but it's good, right? They have an all-pro left guard. I didn't play well last year. They're solidified inside. Steele's a good right tackle. So that to me is a matchup that's worth watching. And along those lines, I wager on Dak Prescott over 2.5 rush attempts at plus 135. That number sort of is going to vary on DraftKings as you go. He averaged about 3 rush attempts per game over his career. But against Philly, he rushes the ball a lot. He didn't play him last year, but in 23, he had 3 one game. He had 6. The year before, he had 9. And you think about the way Philly wants to rush the passer, as we know, and possibly just needing to use his legs to extend plays. But also, too, in game 1, I like quarterback runs. The Eagles have not prepared for now. They have their own team, right? They're prepared for Hurts to run the football, but they don't know what they're going to see from Dak being healthy. And those third downs, those fourth downs, goal line, sort of red zone situations where the quarterback run seems to matter a lot more. I like Prescott to have a good amount of carries in this game, especially too if we both think the Eagles might control the game a little bit. I think they'll still cover 2-minute drills to end the half or end the game. Dak Prescott running, so I like Dak to run the football. On the other side, how are the Cowboys stopping the Eagles? If the Eagles don't self-implode, they can't rush the passer right now. How are they going to stop the Eagles?
Right. Wow, and how are you going to Saquon Barkley? What are you going to do? How are you going to deal with them? I mean, I don't see him able to do that. So I do think that this is a game there could be points scored. I think that you bring up an excellent point. If Dak Prescott doesn't have a lot of carries tonight and do things in third and fourth downs, then the Cowboys are going to struggle.
I think so as well. One thing about the points I was a little worried about is that first-time offensive coordinator, right? Not first time, but new offensive coordinator in Philly. Yeah. And I do worry about that in game 1, but then I look back at what they've done with offensive coordinators in the first game in different years. They score a bunch of points, Marty. So, part of it is like you have a good offensive line, Saquon, AJ Brown's, like you have two, it's like, just go play ball. Like what is there to worry about? It's not up yet, but I last year I played a lot of Kenneth Gainwell over rushing yards because the backup Eagles running back gets the ball a lot. They don't have any numbers up for any backups right now, so that's worth paying attention to. Javonte Williams, Cowboys running back, just moved a 33.5. What's it like? I think 34 yesterday. I think Williams going to have a rough game. I would look to the under for him. I think this has to be a Dak Prescott game for the Cowboys offense.
I agree, and I like Javonte Williams, but I just think this Eagles front is going to really try to take control of the game, and that's one of the biggest keys to me.
Yeah. So you mentioned Jalen Carter on Monday's shows having a sack. That right now is just one sack, plus sacks is plus 168, or a quarter of a sack is plus 123, over a quarter of a sack. Obviously, a half sack would get you home. One full sack would get you home. Would you rather play that quarter sack at plus 123 or the full sack at 168?
We don't play quarters, Geoff. Go big or go home.
Go big or go home. That quarter number, though, is a good price.
Full sack. Yeah,
I mean, you get 40. Like 40 is more for the full sack. Yeah,
and that's what they're going to have to do. And they're going to try to flush Dak out of the pocket. So I just think that he's got a really good chance to get that sack and maybe more.
Yeah, should be a fun game to watch. Let's start taking a peek at that Friday game, Marty, as we'll continue here our preview on the GM Shuffle of the important games of the week. The Chiefs right now sit as a 3-point favorite in Brazil over the Chargers. The total, let me make sure the updated total there. I know people in the wagering community were on the Chiefs team total yesterday. So that's now 46.5 is the total. All subject to change as usual. Marty, I don't know if I'm foolish to buy into the sort of last dance mentality of the Chiefs this season, but it's Kelsey's last dance, right? He is not going to play next season. I think it's very clear that that's the case. And I don't know if the Chiefs are motivated by getting Kelsey another ring. I think they're motivated by the embarrassment of last season. But it's the preseason, I get it. But I have really liked what I've seen from Kansas City as far as offensive mentality in the third preseason game in Chicago. They purposely showed pushing the ball down the field, and they ran concepts they haven't run in a long time. Play action passes, deep shots. They even ran sort of this, what we call Jello, this all go jet off a jet motion where they send three guys into the flood. And Smith was one of the three guys out of the backfield. It's a big play they used to run in 17, 18 when they had Tyreek Hill. But they're bringing some of these plays back, Marty, and maybe I'm buying the Kool-Aid, man, but I really like the Chiefs here -3 against the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm going the other way, Geoff. I'm taking the Chargers, and really Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. So you got two win because quarterbacks, okay, which to me says either team can win the game. Patrick Mahomes versus Justin Herbert. Mahomes is 7-1 versus Justin Herbert. They won 1 by 7 points. They won 1 by 6 points. That was an overtime game, and then 1 by 4, 3 by 3, 1 by 2. So 5 of those 7, 8 games are by what? By 4 points or less. So
these are always very close.
Yeah. And you mentioned the other day, talked about Omarion Hampton. I remember going to his first year in North Carolina. Natron Means, Daryl Moody, a couple guys I really respect. They loved him. They said he was going to be a difference maker for them. Greg Roman is going to run the football, and they are going to try to keep Mahomes off the field. I just think that sometimes this is a cycle. I like the Chargers.
All right, well, we're going to preview this game more coming next. I have some props I like and some other ideas about this game. We're going to hit on the big game Sunday Night Football. We'll hit on one more game on Sunday, then we'll turn our attention to sort of the rest of the slate here on the GM Shuffle. That's coming up next, presented by DraftKings.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
We're back on the GM Shuffle. Geoff Schwartz, Marty Hurney, previewing Friday Night Football between the Chiefs and the Chargers. I don't know if you saw, Marty, the Chiefs had a walkthrough today as we record this on Thursday here. The field in Brazil they're practicing on.
Yes.
I don't know. Not the best field. It looks like a community park that they have lined over. I'm not surprised. There's no football fields. I think they're not plentiful in Brazil, but as a front office executive, how do you feel about some of these international games where the conditions are not what we're used to? I don't want to be bougie about it, but obviously we're used to good conditions, right? Good practice fields, good turf fields. You never want a field to be a concern when it comes to injuries and footing and things like that. Now, Chiefs are doing a walkthrough. There's no cleats on, it looks like. They're wearing T-shirts. There's no helmets. Like it is. And Andy Reid, so there are coaches that have walkthroughs that are not quite walkthroughs, Marty. I don't know if you were part of any coach who did that.
And they're done.
And then there are coaches who have Andy Reid is a walkthrough coach. It is a real walkthrough. Other coaches, it's like a game. So, does it worry you ever when you see these videos of the team sort of practicing internationally and the fields don't look great?
Yeah, and I think there's a game last year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Eagles played the Packers there last year, and the field was a mess. And it actually helped the offense. There were a lot more explosive plays, and I think you bring up a really relevant point. This is something you have to look into. The field conditions will definitely have a factor in this game. There is no question. Now, what's it do? You would normally think it would favor the under. But again, last year, I think it favored the over. So, you worry a lot about field conditions.
So I think Mahomes is going to have a pretty good game tonight, Marty. I would be okay wagering on his over passing yardage for a couple of reasons. One, I just think that the Chiefs are trying to showcase a different offense this season. I know Rashee Rice is not there, but you have Worthy, right? In year 2, you have Hollywood Brown, which you didn't have to start last season. Kelsey sort of looks the way he looks, and we haven't really seen him because he hasn't been showcased. But I watch a lot of Chiefs practice footage. Side note here, Marty. The Chiefs practices in training camp are like live streamed by a network out there. I love it so much. And it's so funny in other places and mostly college, but some NFL teams are very strict about like recording practice. And the Chiefs just have their entire practice just out there recorded and live streams. I can watch the entire thing, and Kelsey looks great. So I think Mahomes is gonna. They're trying to prove a point in this game. Do you think Mahomes is going to try to air it out against the Chargers defense?
Yes. Yeah, most definitely. The Chiefs are going to try to air it out, and the Chargers are going to try to run the ball and keep Mahomes on the sidelines. And I just think this game is so intriguing, Geoff, because Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh. It's going to be. I'm really interested to kind of watch the chess match tonight. I think this game goes down to the last 2 minutes, and I really think it's a coin flip.
It often tends to feel that way in these specific games where the Chargers treat this like the Super Bowl for them. They play these games super hard. They're very close. Games have come down to field goals and there was a play, maybe it was last year before, that was a late interception by Watson as a rookie for the Chiefs to go ahead. You mentioned some players. Just quickly want to run these over here. So Amari Hampton is 47.5 right now in DraftKings for his rushing total. I think I will lean over there. Then Najee Harris is 24.5. I'm kind of on a Najee Harris fade train this year. Last year he had 1,000 yards, but averaged about 4 yards a carry. I just don't know how much juice he has left right now. So I think out of those, I would really be close to playing Harris under right now for the game. So 24.5, I would be comfortable, I think, taking the under for his rushing.
Yeah, I like the rushing touchdown for Hampton, 1 rushing touchdown. I like that. I like that play because when you get inside, Greg Roman's going to run the ball inside the 10-yard line.
Do you think Greg Roman not runs the ball too much? I'm never going to say as an offensive lineman, but do you think that the passing game is not complex enough to win those games you have to win when you're trying to win championships? Like, does he do enough schematically to win those moments over a 17-game season, or even obviously longer to the postseason?
That is the area, and that's the question that everybody asks about him. I will say this: I think he's the best run coordinator in the league, and obviously you have to keep it balanced. I do think that Jim Harbaugh has an input there as far as the passing game and keeping the balanced offense, and you have to utilize Justin Herbert. So, boy. Yes, to answer your question, would you like to see it more complex, the passing game?
Yeah.
You would, but I think the running game is as complex as it comes and as good as it is in the National Football League.
I would love just to sit with Harbaugh and Roman in like a run install meeting on a Monday night. Just listen to those two guys just like geek out over the runs they're going to have. I'm sure you've been in meetings like that before, where just coaches is like, or power right, power left. Power right again, power left, a counter now. We're going the other direction, pulling guys everywhere, just drawing stuff up on the board. So it should be a fun game. Obviously, an important division game for both teams to start on the right foot here. So looking forward to that on Friday night. There was news that the NFL is not going to play Friday night next season. By the way, there's some sort of law they don't want to break. And so there will not be Friday night football start next season. I love this though. These primetime games you start with giving us a one Thursday, one Friday, then obviously a full slate Sunday. Sunday night is the big one. All right. It is Baltimore and it is Buffalo. I do feel like this game is sort of forgotten about because the games Thursday and Friday are so important. And then we headed to games on Sunday, and we sort of forget that this game, week 1, to have essentially a number 1 seed on the line in this game, right? The loser will have 1 leg up and then really almost 2, right? Because then you have to be 1 game ahead of the other team. You're already 1 back. So it's almost a 2-game lead, Marty, for the 1 seed. Buffalo, a slight home favorite here. Last I checked, about 1.5. This is a game where just a general rule of thought is that if you like the favorite, to me, laying a 1.5, take them on the money line. So Buffalo right now, this flipped a little bit. Wow. Buffalo's getting a 1.5 now. Baltimore's favored by 1.5. That was not the case yesterday. So this number is kind of bouncing around a little bit here.
That wasn't the case this morning. That wasn't the case this morning.
So, again, odds subject to change here. So my bet on that one, Buffalo plus 1.5. So I was going to say take Buffalo on the money line. But look, when you have the Ravens here by 1.5, just look at the money line, in my opinion, the minus 125, and then take the points with always the dog here. So weird flip there. So someone must have put some money on the Ravens here. Just big picture, Marty, with these two teams. What do they have to do this season to beat the Chiefs? Like, what is the plan from both these teams starting tonight, or excuse me, Sunday night, to get ready to beat Kansas City in the postseason?
Get the home field advantage. I mean, that's so critical. And you referenced this game. It's critical because, see, I think these two teams are going to meet again in the AFC Championship game. And, and no disrespect to the Kansas City Chiefs at all, but to do what they're doing is so hard, Geoff. You said that they were embarrassed or wanted to make up for last season. They lost the Super Bowl. The expectations have become so high for this team and this organization. I just think that sometimes this league is cyclical, and I think it's time for a change, I think, in the AFC. And the Ravens and the Bills are both loaded. The reason that I like the Bills Sunday night, they are 18-3 the last two seasons in Buffalo. I mean, their home field advantage. And I was looking through the games, Geoff, and there are certain games we'll talk about. And I know there's certain places that you go that are just so tough to win at, right? Buffalo's one of them. I think Atlanta's another one. Pittsburgh's one. Denver's one. I mean, I think New Orleans was one for us, but I don't know whether that'll hold up this year or not. But there are some certain places that are just harder to win that you go into. And I think the Buffalo is one of them. Now, a lot of times the weather late in the year helps. This is going to be a war. I mean, this is going to be, I am really excited about watching this game. Two win because quarterbacks, and two just really good offenses.
So I'm with you on Buffalo in this game. I just think it's their time. And I know it sounds silly to say this, but I think they've been building for this season for a long time. And look, of course, they need to be canceling the postseason, but they've shown the ability to do that in the regular season. I just really like watching Josh Allen play, and I think there's a little moxie to him, and he comes up big on a lot of big. They've never lost a playoff game because of him. Like he's not the reason why they lose these playoff games. Like they lose because it's little moments that the Chiefs win, and this is just to me a showcase of Josh Allen's ability. And two, man, look. Buffalo's offensive line, I don't think that nationally gets enough credit, Marty. It's a top 5 unit. It's an outstanding offensive line. Baltimore has some questions on their front in general. Buffalo over the years has built up their pass rush. And when Milano plays, their defense is just much better than when he doesn't play. Like, that's just a big difference in this team over the years. For whatever reason, I mean, his importance, obviously, at the linebacker, you think passing the league, like how important can a linebacker be? Well, he seems to be very important for them because they play much better, obviously, when he's there than he's not there. Joey Bosa making his way over there now. So they beefed up the things that they have to do to win games like this. Josh Allen, by the way, in big games, I look toward his rushing prop. Its rush attempts is over 6.5. He doesn't run as much anymore, but in the big games, they use him all the time. There's an advantage in a quarterback run, Marty, because you don't have enough defenders, essentially. Because, again, you don't really have a quarterback spy or someone on the quarterback in the run game. You don't, right? Now, you might have it on an RPO type where a guy comes out of the sky and has the quarterback if he pulls the ball on an RPO, but really the inside linebackers are not assigned to Josh Allen at any point of the game, right? And so when you have a quarterback sweep, you have a quarterback power, that running back becomes an extra blocker. And then you have less guys, essentially one less guy in defense to be on the quarterback, right? And so you handle the safety comes down, the back has them, and you're a man short defensively. And they don't do it all the time, but against the Chiefs, the Ravens, fourth quarter big games, guess who runs the football? Josh Allen. I think in this game we're going to see that many times. Also, worth mentioning, quarterback attempts, rush attempts also count kneel downs. So we both think Buffalo is going to win the game. Guess what? 3 kneels, a kneel before half. Like there's ways to rack up, right, Marty? More of these rush attempts as the game goes. So I turn to Josh Allen. I don't always do the Lamar one. I feel like Lamar can be streaky. Some games he does it, some games he don't. It doesn't matter like the moment. Josh Allen in these big games rushes the ball a lot. It's a great weapon for them. So I look to Josh Allen there. All right, coming up next on GM Shuffle, all the games on Sunday, games on Monday. We'll preview that next year, presented by DraftKings Sports.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
Welcome back to the GM Shuffle as we continue our preview of the games for this upcoming weekend. We start, Marty, on Sunday with some important division games, and we'll make our way through the slate. And look, there can be some ugly games we like. There's one stinker I absolutely love, and I don't even want to talk about this team, but we'll talk about them in a few minutes. Let's go to Green Bay here. The Lions on the road at the Packers. The Packers favored by 2.5. A little surprised to see that number. I thought this would be maybe closer to a pick 'em. I know the Packers, you talked about home field advantage. They don't have it's not a noise home field advantage. It's like an aura home field advantage, as the kids say, like aura, you kind of have this cool vibe around you. Like it's a fun place to play. Again, it's not the loudest place, but there obviously is something to play in Green Bay. The weather will be nice, so there's not really a concern there about the weather. Total here is 47.5. I think we're both, me and you, very high in the Packers. You picked them to win the NFC.
Yeah.
It sort of feels like if they want to be as good as we think they can be this season, they have to win and cover this game. Of course, they'll take a win. Of course they would. But the amount of hype on them right now, after the Parsons trade, we'll see how his back is obviously concerned, but I think he's going to be ready to go here. Marty, I'm high in the Packers this year. I don't have a play on this game, but I do think if you like the Packers, you're in the right spot in this one.
Yeah, I really like the Packers. Matter of fact, I was kind of opposite you, Geoff. I was surprised that the number wasn't 3 or maybe 3.5, because I just think there's so many changes, so much turnover with Detroit over the offseason as far as the coordinators go. And, you could argue certainly one of the top 5 offense coordinators left for a head coaching job in Johnson. But I just think that there are more question marks on Detroit. Packers are solid, and that's even before the Micah Parsons trade. I think that they are solid on both sides of the ball. The quarterbacks really are both kind of, I say, win with / win because quarterbacks. So I think that's kind of a push there. But as far as continuity and strength and balance on both sides of the ball, I think it's hard to find any team in the NFL that really has that balance between offense and defense that the Packers do.
The Lions are interesting, Marty, because it's hard to make a case they're better than last season. They had a great year last year. But you look at you mentioned the turnover coordinator, right? And then you look at the turnover at some of their roster. It's not their fault per se, but a center retire, right? So the offensive line's a little bit different now. And you look at some injuries already on defense that would concern you, right? I mean, they were super injured last year. You'd rather them not be injured now, but they already have guys on injured reserve or PUP, which is a little worrisome. You mentioned the idea of sort of win with and win without sort of quarterbacks, or win with. It's win with and win without, or win because. I think Jared Goff is sort of straddling the line, right? Where, he's sort of a perfect fit for what they do offensively, but if things get a little bit off schedule, he's just not going to be the same guy. So the Packers are able to do some things defensively to push him off schedule. And again, Micah Parsons can be that difference maker. If you get Parsons in there, plays well, right? And 2 or 3 third downs where he disrupts the quarterback, makes life tough, and those are 3 times the Lions don't score touchdowns, or it's a field goal or a punt. That really changes the complexion of a ball game. That's how the importance of a guy like that. I think people sometimes don't really understand, visualize what it means. It's not always the sacks, right? It also does a good job of now as an offensive line, we're searching Parsons every play. We got to find where he is. And a lot of teams do this now. They line up 5 across, right? So if I'm an offensive lineman, I got 5. The defense lines up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We each have to block individually. That takes away our ability to find double teams. And you can put Parsons anywhere you want. Put him over left guard, right guard. You can put him over the center if you want. He doesn't do that very often, but over a tackle. And then everyone else is manned up too. So it opens up free space for other guys to find pressure as well. So I like the ability for the Packers to be very multiple defensively in this game. And so, I'm curious what the lines look like offensively without Ben Johnson. I'm sure it'll take some time. I've always felt this way. I've confirmed it with coaches over the years. It takes about half a season to feel really comfortable in a quote unquote new offense. This might not be new offense, but the idea of a new coordinator, right? What works for us? And the thing about the NFL that makes it so unique, in my opinion, compared to different sports, is really is a year-to-year sport. What worked for you last year might not work for you this season. So if you have a specific play that worked last year, you might think it works. Everyone watched that play all season. They're going to study it. They're going to know what you're doing in week one. So what can you do for a second or third act? I think it's fair to say, hey, maybe maybe the Lions struggle a little bit on the road in week one in that aspect. Let's turn our attention to Giants Commanders here. This number is plummeting. Commanders favored by 6 now. 45.5 is the total. Division game again here. Marty, I feel like I'm either going to be very right or very wrong on the Commanders. There is a faction who thinks they're going to slide back this year. I'm not part of that. I understand their defense last year played a lot of bad quarterbacks, and that's totally fair to bring up. But offensively, I don't see a slip in year 2 with Jalen Daniels. I quite frankly do not understand this talking point about the offense slipping backwards, because in people cite like CJ Stroud sophomore slump. It's not the same offense. That does not matter. No. Like, just because one team did it doesn't mean the other team's going to do it. You look at the improvement on the offensive line. McLaurin's back. Daniels, I think, is an elite talent. I think he can get better. Like, I think he's a really special football player. So offensively, they'll be fine. Now, defensively, sure, they might not be as good because they play better quarterbacks, but the Giants' offense, to me, is not the better quarterback. It's Russell Wilson, right? And Malik Neighbors battled injuries all training camp. And Andrew Thomas, as of right now, we don't know his status. Okay, he's been out. Yesterday was a first day at Pats since October. He may or may not play. If he doesn't play, the Giants' offensive line's kind of a wreck. I'm on the Commanders here, man. I know I'm on the sharp side. I get it. Giants are the sharp side, but man, I think the Commanders are just that much better than the Giants. Last point here, Marty, I'll make. Cliff Kingsbury, forever, it's ended last year, is a coach who was really good early in the season. That was his fastball. And then his fastball went from 98 to 95 to 92 to 89 by the end of the season. Now, last year, he got a cortisone injection and went back up to 95, 98 at the end of the season. But like, for a long time, that was always what happened with him. So I think you have the advantage here of just having Kingsbury in week one. I like the Commanders in this spot.
I like the Commanders to win the game. It's just hard for me to lay the points right now. You know, these two teams played twice last year, and Washington won by 3 and won by 5. The Giants have gotten better. Now, so have the Commanders, and you know how I feel about Jalen Daniels, Geoff. I mean, I'm with you. I do not see him taking a step back. I think that there might be some points scored in this game, to be honest with you. And I think that I hate taking the points in this game, but I think history tells you to take the points in this game with the Giants. I do think the Commanders are the better team. I think that they will come out and I think they're better than they were last year, particularly on offense. But I just think that Brian Daboll's a good coach. You know, you referenced the league looking at Cliff Kingsbury, Jalen Daniels. They've had all offseason now to kind of try to figure out what to do to slow this offense down. So Jalen Daniels will be seeing some different looks and some different approaches to him, but I just think that he's too good. I think the Commanders' offense is too good. But I just can't lay the points in a division game like this, because every time these two teams play, it's a war. It's just very close games that come down to the last 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah. And the Giants' offensive line just really frustrates me if they don't have Thomas there either. That really worries me if he's not there. The line gets
deep in the weeds. You get deep in the weeds, you're taking the Commanders. The more you analyze this game, the more you take the Commanders. But sometimes you just have to keep it simple, stupid. And they played twice last year, and it was 3 points and 5 points.
I agree. Sometimes you have to look at that way. All right, let's move to the NFC West here. Another divisional matchup. The Niners at the Seahawks. Niners favored by 2.5. Total 43.5. Look, this was difficult, Marty. I'm very rarely going to like a division opponent laying points on the road here. I'm just not in Seattle this year. I made it very clear. I'm not on Sam Darnold, to be fair. Like, that's really what it comes down to. And we look at last season, what he did. Great season, absolutely. but this is not the same team. Not even close. There's not a position group Seattle has that's better than Minnesota. Don't have a better play caller, don't have a better roster, and we're expecting a guy who, has struggled throughout his career, who had one good season to magically pop back up and be good in game one. I don't see it now. Again, laying points on the road is in division game does worry me. I'm not sure I'm back at the Niners here, but I'm sort of off Seattle in this game. The Niners they're healthy, right? It's important to be healthy. They stewed all last season with last offseason with a bad record. I don't love their wide receivers. That does kind of worry me right now. You're looking at MVS, Ricky Pearsall, and Jawan Jennings. That worries me at the moment. And so that is a little bit of a concern, I think. But otherwise, I think I'd lean toward the Niners here.
Yeah, I'm going the other way, Geoff. I like Seattle because, listen, I hear you about Sam Darnold, but I think that this is a game with two win-with quarterbacks in Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold. And I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but Brock Purdy is still a win-with quarterback in my opinion. And I don't know. I looked at Seattle and Clint Kubiak is going to be the key to this game, I think. The run game, and it's appropriate that it's Kyle Shanahan on the other side because this running game that Seattle's running goes all the way back to Mike Shanahan, right? And it's different.
Oh, yeah.
It's misdirection. It's, linemen are coming from everywhere to block you. I know way back when I was with the Chargers in the 90s, our defense line used to hate playing Denver because Alex Gibbs was the offense line coach and the guru of that running attack. I think that Seattle's going to be able to run the football, and they have two running backs that I absolutely love coming out in Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. So I think that they both can be involved in productive in the passing game as well. I like Seattle. Again, Seattle's one of those places, really hard place to win. You go in there and it's difficult to win. So I like the Seahawks in this.
Worth noting, divisional home dogs, week one, 66% against the spread. It's a good spot to be in. And Harbaugh, Shanahan, over the years, not the best as a favorite. So both of those are sort of maybe playing against you here if you want to play the 49ers. All right, Marty, we're going to hit some games next that are a little ugly. So stick with us here. I have some plays in these that I wager on myself. I really like. So we'll start with some of these ugly games. We'll do that next in the GM Shuffle presented by DraftKings Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
Back on the GM Shuffle, Geoff Schwartz, Marty Hurney, as we make our way down the schedule for Sunday here. Marty, okay. The ugliest of uglies have arrived, and I actually have a play in this game that I really do like, Marty. So, Dolphins are at the Colts, and Daniel Jones starting for the Colts. I don't know if that was the right decision holistically for the Colts, but the best option now. And with the way Shane Steichen can design an offense around Jones, who has his limitations, but still can do, I think, the sort of, I don't want to say college offense, a little unfair, but sort of like the RPO based offense, some play action pass, keep things simple and try to avoid third and longs like that. Daniel Jones can run that offense. They have a couple weapons that are good enough defensively. They're going to be fine. And more importantly, I'm just out on the Dolphins, way out on the Dolphins, Marty. So I like the Colts in this game to cover the 1.5 as it sits right now. Of course, all that's subject to change. It's super ugly side, but I am on the Colts here. It's one of my best bets of the week.
I'm with you, Geoff. I am all on board, and it's one of my best bets of the week. And you talked earlier about you like quarterbacks, the ball in the quarterback's hands week one. Daniel Jones can run the football now. And he is got more speed than I think people give him credit for. I'm really intrigued to watch Daniel Jones this season because I think he can be a better quarterback than he was at the Giants. And maybe it's because I just respect David Cutcliffe so much, who was his head coach at Duke. And I talk to David now and then, and he is still very high on Daniel Jones. And I just think that sometimes it's about fit and being at the right place. Listen, Brian Daboll's a heck of a coach, heck of a quarterback guru. I just think that this change of scenery I'm very excited to see how Daniel Jones does. I think that the Colts, I love the Colts like you this week. I think Daniel Jones is going to come out and have a very good game. I think he's going to carry the ball probably 6, 7 times.
Yeah.
And I just think that plus Indy at home is, it's not one of those places on the A list as far as difficult place to play, but it's B plus.
Yeah. So Daniel Jones right now, I've wagered on this already. DraftKings 22.5 rushing yards are the over. Again, like I go back to this point, when you haven't seen a quarterback that can run in an offense in week one, it presents a great opportunity to sort of catch a defense off guard. Look, Tua doesn't run the football, right? As we know. But so in practice, the Dolphins defense is not practicing against a running quarterback. And so you get this in a game like this, where you have an ability for Jones to run the football, there's just not going to be much resistance. And then again, like, dude, so the Dolphins have basically a brand new secondary, which is very unproven, I think, in as a whole, right? As we know,
Right.
The pass rush is like they're relying on guys that they hope sort of have bounce back seasons. And then offensively, their tight end situation is are they playing with any tight ends this weekend? Maybe not. Darren Waller, I saw, he popped up on an injury report or like questionable. Like, what are they going to do? So, Tua, he catches the ball, he looks one direction. If it's not there, then like it's like all hell breaks loose on offense. I just don't like them holistically. So I'm on the Colts as well. All right, let's sort of speed through some of these here so we can get all the ones we like in here. Steelers at the Jets here, a quarterback swap, right? Justin Fields in for the Jets and Rodgers in for the Steelers. It is right now, this number's kind of fluctuating throughout this process. Again, odds subject to change, but right now 2.5 Steelers on the road -2.5, total 38.5, very low number here. I will say this, Mike Tomlin as a road favorite is a terrible wager. You should never do it. Home underdog, sign me up for that. That's where Tomlin excels. Marty, Aaron Rodgers had said that this game is not going to mean anything for him. I think he's a liar, and I think this matters a lot for Aaron Rodgers. The Jets, Elijah Vera Tucker, the injury on the offensive line out for the season. Not great start to the season to lose one of those guys. I think their offensive line is going to be fun. The Jets team actually, it's not a bad roster, man. It's not a bad roster for where they are at quarterback. But man, I think the Steelers are just the way they play football. You add Aaron Rodgers for this week. I'm not betting on the Steelers in this game. Again, I'm not laying points with Tomlin on the road, but I think the Steelers will win this game by a field goal.
Yeah, I like the Jets in this game. Now, this is the only game, Geoff, I think of all the games that the total is under 40 points. So, the odds would try to tell you that this is going to be a low scoring game. I like the Jets here, and I probably like the Jets as much as I don't like the Steelers in this spot. I don't know that the Aaron Rodgers thing. Some of the things that the Steelers have done have kind of not been like the old Steeler way. It almost feels a little like desperation coming into this season, and it'll be interesting. The Steelers need to win this game. If not, the Mike Tomlin critics are going to keep coming out more and more. I like the Jets this year. Not necessarily as a playoff team, but in the first year under Aaron Glenn, I think that they're going to be an improved football team. And I like them here and getting points at home.
I don't think I gave this out on this show. I'm going to do it right now. You still have a chance on DraftKings for listeners before the game starts. Of course, these numbers, will pop every now and then throughout the season. But I think Caleb Johnson, the rookie running back on Pittsburgh, is going to have a really good season. Najee Harris rushed for 1,000 yards last year, and he can't run the ball very far and very long. Caleb Johnson is a good running back out of Iowa. Marty, I'm trying to find the number right now. If it's up, it's not actually up right now. So you maybe find it again at some point this season. The Steelers offensive line, young, but played well last year. Like it's a good core group of guys. Fatanu's hoping to step in the right tackle. I think Caleb Johnson has a big season. The Steelers, we know what they want to do, right? They want to run the football, play action pass. I know Rodgers maybe changes a little bit of that mentality, possibly, Marty, but I think Johnson will have a good season this year. So worth keeping an eye on there. Let's get to our next game here. Panthers at Jacksonville. Jacksonville favored by 3.5, total 46.5. So this one, Marty, I think I'm on the wrong side on this one. So when a number is 3.5 like this, And there's inclination to take the underdog, right? Plus 3.5. Like, why is there that hook there? But why is there that hook there? What is, I just sort of don't understand this, to be honest with you, Marty. I don't think there's that big of a difference between the Panthers and Jacksonville. Like, I just don't see it. The Panthers have their staff back. They've improved their roster a ton. They're relatively healthy. Bryce Young in the system now for year 2. I love their coaching staff. I just don't understand the number. And typically you want to, I think, go the other direction when you don't understand it. But I'll let the Panthers here plus 3.5, Marty. I just don't understand the number, to be fair.
How much does Travis Hunter have to do with that number?
Well, what is he going to play?
He's going to play wide receiver, and I bet he's on defense in nickel situations, second and third downs.
Okay. So I Marty, I have a question about this. Okay, so are they going to play him like in man coverage only? Like, so he's been practicing wide receiver and then is supposed to then practice like full-time nickel cornerback. How does he have the reps to know what to do defensively? Because if you put him in there just to play man coverage, then I know what you're doing defensively every single time. I just don't know how they're going to use him in an effective manner defensively.
I think they'll put him outside in nickel situations. But obviously, his main impact, I think everybody is thinking it's going to be a wide receiver, which is going to be. But I think he'll be on the field. And when I say Travis Hunter, really public perception, I mean, I think there's a lot of excitement to see this guy. Plus, this is the year that Trevor Lawrence has to kind of take a step forward, right? Trevor Lawrence and Bryce Young. Both of these guys, these are very important seasons for both of these guys. I do like Jacksonville. I think I'd give the 3.5. I think the Chargers offensive line is good. I think that, I always was enamored with New Orleans philosophy when they had Drew Brees, as far as the center and the 2 guards had to be giants, right? Because they want the dual passing lanes out inside for Drew Brees. I like Austin Corbett and Eric Lewis and those guys. They're just not overly big linemen, right?
No, they're probably the best they could find in free agency. So that's sort of what they rolled with, right? That's what they went with. And so I think your point is very valid, that it's like, it's not the best offensive line, but I think it's good enough.
It's good enough, but when you invest what you did in Bryce Young, it should be one of it should be at least in the top 10, right? I just don't know whether, I think right now Trevor Lawrence has more weapons than Bryce Young does. That's why I like the Jaguars in this game. Listen, my heart's with the Panthers, but my brain tells me the Jaguars.
All right, we're on different sides. I like this, Marty. We have some bragging rights here come on Monday. All right,
what news for you, Geoff? If you're disagreeing with me, you're probably going to do pretty well this week.
Last one here, Buccaneers at Falcons. This number's come down. Bucks now favored by 1.5. This was hovering around 2.5 or 2. The total 46.5 here. Again, odds subject to change on DraftKings. The Falcons are never a play team for me. I just stay away from the Falcons all the time, Marty. I don't get them. I never get them right. I think there's a lot of question marks on the roster. Can they rush the passer yet? I like Penix, but year 2 now, solidified starter. The right tackle situation worries me with McGarry out. I think Tampa Bay, we know what they are. They very clearly know what they are. What do you think about this game?
I really like Atlanta.
Okay.
I think if you draft well, Geoff, enough consistently, good things happen. And look at Atlanta's offense. I mean, you have Kyle Pitts first round in 21, Drake London first round in 22, Bijan Robinson first round in 23, who I think is a tremendous player, and then Michael Penix, who you drafted first round in 24, and that's going to be the key. Okay, can Michael Penix kind of pick up where he left off last year? If he does that, I think the Falcons have a potential to be a playoff team. I know this is a tough opener for them. I have all the respect for Todd Bowles and the Bucs, but at home at Atlanta, which is one of those places that's very hard to win, I just think that Atlanta wins this, and I think that they have a chance to win the NFC South. If they don't win it, I think they're a playoff team.
Well, if you like what you're hearing here on the GM Shuffle, there's even more at VSiN Pro. Betting splits, power ratings, sharp analysis, all for just $9.99 the first month. Go to vsin.com/subscribe and check out all the subscription options. All right, we have made it. We have previewed all the games for the weekend. We're back on Monday, guys. Enjoy the first week of NFL football.